Good morning and welcome to the Down and Dirty in 30. It is Audrey Boissonou with Kevin Cagey and Mortgage Pros 411. We are happy to have Louise Woods and George Ramirez joining us today. Welcome, Louise and George.
Hi,
thank you.
Let's just start with your name, Arc Home. I always want to add something to that. And so Arc Home, it's so much simpler when I can see it behind your head. Could you travel with that? That'd be great. No? Thank you for joining us today. We are going to talk about non-QM, which is a burning subject over and over again this year, isn't it?
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Actually, and then I want to just add this little caveat. This is a show for loan officers and only loan officers, not consumer-oriented show.
Kevin obviously had a conversation with an attorney.
That's in fact with compliance,
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, now that we have the CYA out of our way, all right, so let's just start with where are we in non-QM? It's been a wild year. I know it was crazy for you when the rates were really low and conventional, and then it's a different kind of crazy this year. So let's talk about that. What's going on out there?
I mean, the non-QM world is definitely forever changing and adapting to exactly what you said, right? From a really low interest rate environment where everybody was completely distracted and focused on Fannie Freddie refi to a pandemic, right? COVID hit, and then, oh my gosh, what happened? Everybody kind of came to a screaming halt and had to reassess to, where we are now, which is, really good alternative products. But let's face it, interest rates are a little higher. And so, how do we deal with that and how do we sell that? As Audrey says, just a little bit. And so that's our challenge today is how to share with the market, how to sell the product over the rate and the opportunity that non-QM brings to the marketplace.
So we've talked all year about how important it is to choose the right lender, whether it's conventional or non-QM. It really goes both ways. And we know that everything keeps changing in terms of who's in, who's out, what's available, what isn't available. So talk about what's important from your perspective as far as choosing a non-QM lender, because people get focused on the rate. Can I do the deal? But there's more to it than that right now, isn't there?
100%, especially in today's non-QM marketplace, and then even moving into 2023, 2024 even.
Right.
One of the biggest things to consider is who are you partnering with for your non-QM resources, and the why is, do they have a direct source for securitization? There really truly is only maybe 5 true direct securitized non-QM lenders out there, and that's who you should be working with. And the reason being is because that's exactly where that's the direct source of where the money's coming from. There are other lenders out there offering non-QM, but they're pass-through lenders. They're selling to these top 5, one of us being included. So you want to go direct to the source, not only to get the best rate for your customer, but also the best product and backing, so that you have confidence that that lender is going to go ahead and be able to honor your locks and close your loan.
We've talked about that a lot this year because people go chasing after, oh, the rate's the best here. And then they go to close it. And you see it on the online chats all the time. And that sometimes is a good place to go to see what are people saying about different things, right? But
yeah, like there's some lenders that were only doing locks once the loan's approved. That's a real big warning sign. Or only doing 15-day locks. That's another big warning sign that things are in trouble for them, that they're having a hard time placing their product. Exactly.
Not allowing forward locks, not allowing extensions. You should be cautious. Here at ARC, we allow forward locks, we allow lock extension. We have all of the typical lock features that are available in the rest of the marketplace.
We are also hearing stories about a lot of bait and switch. They'll pull you in with a rate, and then once they've got you in the system, then they're like, oh, well, we can't honor that rate because of X, Y, or Z. So again, don't hide things. Let's start with the LO's part of this and the borrower's part. Don't try and hide things from the lender. Go in with a fully processed together package so that you're presenting the whole thing up front so you don't run into problems. When you're calling the AE, don't leave out some very important detail because it's not going to be great because they're going to figure it out later anyway.
Yeah, no.
So we have to do our part as LOs as far as making sure that we get, the right information to the lender, up front, and then work with a lender who isn't going to be changing things midstream, which causes all sorts of issues, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, you mentioned, I mean, what is it that you should be looking for? And, rate, like you said, I mean, it's part of it, but, chasing rate is not a good idea in the non-QM market. You should be looking for, like you said, a company that is financially backed and secure, such as ARC, and then your relationship with your account executive. You want a strong account executive that knows non-QM, that knows how to structure a loan, that literally can almost help you manually underwrite your loan to create a package or a loan that you can submit that will work. George Ramirez is a local Bay Area account executive for ARC and works with many brokers in structuring deals, and has the largest or the best pull through in the company at over 86% of his overall pipeline is closing. And that's huge for non-QM.
God, George, do you feel like beating on your chest right now? Because I think now is the moment to indulge. I mean, that's a big number, 86% pull through on non-QM.
I think it's, I think it's, full disclosure, communication between myself and my mortgage partner, right? As you mentioned, the loan originator has to give us the full story up front so that we know what to do, how to structure it, how to guide them. The whole thing is to give everyone options, right? So they can go back to the client and say, look, this is what we have, this is what we can do, that way we can move forward. And in turn, get a loan approval. We don't like the word bait and switch. That's not in our vocabulary, right? We want to know upfront, can we do the loan? And if so, what's it going to take, right? And as Louise was mentioning, I mean, when it comes to forward locks, locking, you can lock it or float it at registration. You can wait till it's approved. It really depends on your, your close of escrow. So, yeah, I mean, knowing the full story up front is key.
You would think that would be obvious. We wouldn't need to say it, but we do. And so if we have listeners who are from one coast to the other, all the way up to Alaska. So if that is the case, are they still going to call you, George?
Absolutely. Yeah, I can help them nationally. And I get up at 5 in the morning and work till 7 o'clock at night. So I have every time zone covered.
Oh, your family must love that.
Oh, they do. They also like to go on vacation. So
oh, okay. So that's the trade-off. That's good. Oh my goodness. All right. So let's talk about reaching out with non-QM, shall we? So we have a whole lot of realtors and referral partners who still probably, like some loan officers, will compare non-QM to subprime and go prime and not understand what the difference is and why they should embrace it. So why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, I just recently kind of took on a little tour down from, NorCal down to SoCal, and then Arizona, Denver, kind of talking to different realtor groups and explaining to them, not only the importance of backing or working with a company that is a non-QM, financially well-backed, securitized, direct company, but also that they're coupling with AEs that know the product and letting them know that, the product's here to stay. This is actually an enhancement to their business, and teaching them that it's not something to be afraid of, that these loans close in under 30 days, very, very regularly. This is not an extended escrow type product. And it's a valid product, meaning that it really opens up doors to, so many more borrowers in the industry, and helps, people, purchase investment properties, purchase second homes, obviously primary homes, and anything from first-time home buyers all the way through, the experienced investor, and loan amounts upwards of $3.5 million. So, there's so much opportunity here, and the overall market is underserved. I mean, they just really, the self-employed borrower out there, or, the major investor really hasn't had a lot of product in the past, 10 years, let's say, and non-QM has brought that to the forefront. And so now that we have time to slow down and learn new product, because we're not in this crazy frenzy of a refi boom, I would encourage everybody to reach out to, their local AE and their realtors, and start educating people on this product and how valuable it is.
I was actually talking with a bank rep yesterday, a loan officer there, one of the big banks, and was going over, the DSCR program with them, but also talking about, depleted assets, and, bank statements. And it's like, and they're like, their mind is being blown by, well, what, you can do that also? Oh, and you can do that? And it's like, yeah, so basically, if you guys turn down the loan, I can probably do it. You know, if it's close, as long as the client can make the payments, that's my big concern. How we show they're gonna make the payments is, you know, we have a lot of tools for that.
And Kevin, that's key, because I'm going to say one of the major differences between non-QM and subprime, it's all about ability to repay, right? ATR.
Yep. Ability
And
to
each
repay.
loan that our, you know, underwrites and reviews has to meet the ATR. So we don't want to put someone in a loan they cannot repay. And so
Correct.
that's the major difference between the subprime and the non-QM world. The other thing is that non-QM is also not private money. I know a lot of originators might say, oh, you still have to follow this or follow that. We do. It's still a conventional based loan with, you know, certain aspects, but it's not private money, right? So we want to make sure that we're performing for the borrower, putting them in the right loan where, you know, if there's a change in market, they're not going to, you know, face foreclosure. We want to make sure that they're,
And it's definitely not subprime in the fact that, you know, the underwriting conditions are pretty, you know, substantial. It's not like, oh, yeah, they've fogged a mirror, we'll do the loan. It's okay,
Right.
document this, document that, document that. So if it's the first time a loan officer is sending a non-QM lender, they have to expect that, oh, it's going to be just like a conforming loan with all the conditions that come through, but it's going to add, maybe there's even more conditions in the fact that, you know, they want more proof that they have a business and what kind of business they have and
reserves, things
reserves,
like
yeah,
Yeah.
all that fun stuff. So
But not too many conditions, because you don't want to freak out a realtor who's like, oh my God, you know what I mean? So geez,
Right.
Kevin.
yeah, they're not
Well-
terrible conditions, but they are conditions. You've got to expect that there's going to be conditions.
I
Of course.
think that what Kevin is trying to convey here is you don't just throw it against the wall and it's
Correct.
going to stick and close. Okay. You
Right.
still have to dot your I's and cross your T's to make sure that you're following the guidelines, right?
Yeah,
Right.
and that's where the relationship between the originator and the account executive come into play, right? One of the things I like to convey to the client is, you know, this is what to expect. This is what we're looking for. Want to make sure we have this, this, and this up front, so you're not scared when the approval comes out, right? So, you know, when I'm reviewing or pre-qualifying or, you know, guiding the originator, I'm going to say, look, this is what to expect. And if you can get this up front, you're going to have a cleaner approval. You're not going to be, you know, scared going back to the client.
Right. So George, where are you seeing these non-QMs being originated? I mean, where are the LOs getting them?
So realtors, you know, as far as, you know, as long as they're educating themselves, they can in turn educate the realtor, correct?
Yeah.
And they, you know, bank statement loans, the self-employed borrower is very underserved. There's so many, you know, borrowers out there that, you know, for whatever reason, they have big expenses, they're showing less, you know, profit. The bank statement is a great product to put them in because it's going to give them it's going to give us the true sense of what the income's coming in, right? So realtors are a good source, you know, I always say contractors are a very good source to go after because a lot of times they're the client that you see a lot less, you know, profit on, right? So, you know, different trade shows, things like that. There's to get these.
There was a story about a lender, and he put up a sign on one of the major interstates in the United States, and it says home loans for truckers. And he was,
Yeah.
You know,
Florida.
I see a lot. Yeah, I see a lot of truck drivers. I see Uber drivers. I see contractors. I see, you know, you name it.
yeah, plumbers, contractors, yeah, you know, and if you just target them, they make a lot of money. You know, I recently had a bid from an electrician, and I'm like, they wanted thousands of dollars a day for work. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's crazy.
What we're seeing is also a lot of referral based too. So I have several originators that, like I have one right now that deals with truck drivers, and they're referring to their friend who's referring to their friend or their family because, hey, I was assisted. I got a loan. They helped me. This is my situation. So that's huge.
That is huge. And again, it requires an LO to do more than just sit around looking good. You know, we have to do our jobs. We have to be salespeople. You have to communicate with people. And who else is self-employed who needs loans? Realtors.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
they all need loans. I
A
mean,
lot of realtors.
So you do like 1099 loans also,
We
correct?
also do 1099, yeah, 12 and 24 months.
So
So just walk us through that very briefly. What does that look like? You have somebody who they have a 1099. What do you do with it? How do you qualify them?
So basically, we look at, whether it's a 12 or a 24 month, we'll take the average. We do want to see a year-to-date statement, especially being we're in December now. We want to see what 2022 has looked like. Obviously, if it's declining, we're going to use that average, right? Same as if you're looking at tax returns, you're looking at profit and loss. So if it's increasing, then it just averages. We're just going to look at the last 12 or 24 months. So that's how we qualify. And then we do hit it with a small expense, down to as low as a 10% expense for cost of doing business.
Okay.
Right? So they can use up to 90% of that 1099 to qualify.
Wow. Wow. And let's talk about LTVs for a minute. So I just want to say that we all need to be aware that the guidelines are changing regularly. Let's go with regularly. So on the back end, the investors are looking at risk, what's going on out there, and they're adjusting accordingly. So just make sure that you don't quote something to a borrower that you heard 6 months ago. That may or may not still exist. So make sure your information is very current. And so with that being said, talk about LTVs. Like, what are we looking at here for different programs? And we know it all depends, but
Sure. So full doc, non-QM, alternative doc, whether it be a 1099, a bank statement, you can do a 90% loan to value with ARC. On an owner occupied single family, we do require a 700 FICO. So there are some things to meet with a maximum of a 1 million loan amount. So it is risk based. So throughout the US, that's a good number.
Yeah.
California, maybe not so much in certain areas, right?
Right.
But we understand that the market's ever changing. We don't want them in 2023 to be upside down or underwater.
Right.
So,
with that being said, they did just raise the conforming loan limits significantly. So, maybe we could just make a little call to your investors and say, hey, conventional, 1,098,000. How about us, baby?
Sure. No, exactly.
Put that on your to-do list for Monday. It's fine.
Right. But it's a bank statement loan.
Gotcha. Okay. So you are, 90% is a big number. That is doing a non-QM loan. Do you get MI?
No mortgage insurance.
No mortgage. So when you're looking at the rates, make sure you're explaining that to your borrower.
It includes the MI.
Right.
And it then becomes deductible.
Correct. Right. The other
Yes.
thing is that it's also a great product for first-time home buyers. I mean, sure, they're looking for an FHA loan or a conventional loan that requires less down payment, but even on a non-QM, 10% down is pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
And we allow a gift for down payment.
Yeah.
So really, parents help the children out. They give them the 10%. We'll still require them to have their own reserves, but they can have 100% gift and still do the loan.
Wow.
I used to, as a loan officer, I used to be hesitant to put my clients in programs that had higher rates. I was like, oh no, I'm trying to get them the best rate, lower rate. And I would think that if the program had high rates, that I was actually doing them a disservice by putting them into the loan. And then I realized that I was actually substituting one day for another loan officer that was on vacation, and he had a loan that was a non-QM loan. And the rate was substantially higher than anything else you can get conforming. And I'm like, so why are you doing this? This doesn't make sense. This rate's really high for this client. And he goes, oh no, look, if they do it this way, look how much money they save. And this particular case, they were buying before they were selling. He goes, watch the math. He goes, you buy before you sell, you end up buying at a discount and selling at a premium. Versus if you sell and then buy, then you are selling at a discount and buying at a premium. And in my market in San Francisco, that time was like a $500,000 swing. It's like, oh yeah, so they pay maybe $20,000 extra in interest costs over a 6-month period, and points and fees and everything else, but they save $500,000. The $20,000 versus the $500,000 is a no-brainer. Once you see that and they put that in their mind, you get rid of the objection. Oh, I don't want to pay that high rate. Yes, you do. You want to pay the higher rate because this is a tool that allows you to get what you're trying to do done and saves you a fortune in the end.
We have been so spoiled in the last 10 years in our industry with low rates. Spoiled. It's not normal. It is not it is not something that is going to carry forward necessarily. And so the obstacle with that starts with us. And so until we become comfortable with where the rates are and what reality looks like, it's not going to be okay for our borrowers or our realtors either. And so we're needing to educate always. I mean, it's a big education. We have a comment from Jill in the chat, and she said she's been doing an education outreach with realtors because it has to change. That narrative has to change as an industry. And again, it starts with us. I found myself doing the same thing. And I've told the story before where I have a client that I worked with for literally decades, always did conventional loans, even though they're self-employed, have rental properties. And he wanted to buy this property and I just could not fit it into conventional. And I just went at it. And one day somebody said, you're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah.
And it made me think, and I went, they're right. They're totally right. And I finally found a program, and it was 4 points. It was a rate that I would have never even thought of, but it got him what he wanted. He got in, he's thrilled. And we're talking about doing a cash out refinance now to get him out of it. But it was the right loan at the right time. And I had to get over my biases before I could get him on board. And as soon as I said it to him, he's like, that's a great idea. Let's do it.
Right. And you just created a customer for life, right? Because when you're just chasing rate and you're just getting the lowest rate and you're just that customer is appreciative, but they don't really remember you. When you do something unique, when you step out of that box and give them some creative financing options and walk them through, the savings in overall, financing, as Kevin was talking about, that client remembers you. They actually do remember you, and they'll call you back when they're looking for financing again, and they'll refer you to their friends and family. So it's huge.
The loan I closed with you guys, was it back in June, worked out perfect, where I had a client who was, he was one of these guys that got the stock options from, I want to say it was Dropbox or, one of these big tech companies. And a lot of these guys, what they do is they take on start working for a company knowing that they're going for the stock options that with the big payout, and they'll make, this guy had like $5 million payout in the last job he had. Okay. He wasn't in a rush to go back to work for another company, but he wasn't looking for a job that's going to pay him $5 million a year. He's looking for a job that'll cover his bills while he's but he's going to get another payout of $3 million, $5 million in 3 or 4 years. And when he was looking, he was first of all, he was unemployed at that very moment. But then I knew when he was going to go back to work, he'd have enough income to pay the payments on a loan, but that was it. But we used the $5 million payout that he had to qualify him on a asset drawdown. So a perfect non-QM product. And he fit right in the box, and boom, he was set and done. We closed it. We ended up buying it for this $3 million property. And those are perfect for those loans. Just those clients that are buying the big dollar places, and they get it. They're really smart investors, and they get it that, oh yeah, no, it's not going to be the 3% program even today, 5 or 6.
But there is a re-education that's happening right now.
Oh, yeah.
I talked to a guy yesterday who he thought 7.49% on a land loan was a lot. And I said, what were you expecting the rate to be? And, because I had sent him to a bank because that would be the best place to start, right? And he's like, 4.5%. I'm like, yeah, that's unrealistic. So that 2% HELOC you think still exists, why don't you go check that out? Seriously, like if that rate exists on your HELOC, you're convinced that is going to be available, you should totally do that. And if you can get a personal loan at 4%, you should totally do that. And then, by the way, tell me where that is, because I
want to go borrow that money too.
So again, it's really, it is a process right now, and it's both with the real estate and the values, and between the buyers and the sellers, there's that disconnect still, as it always is when we go through these transitions, and then also the rates. So I have a question actually that I don't know the answer to at all. So conventional rates have come down like 1% plus in the last month. Have your rates adjusted too? Are they still where they were? How does that work on the non-QM and in this kind of market?
So, I mean, overall, we're not, going to fluctuate rates as much as, Fannie Freddie, but the rates do fluctuate. When non-QM first came out, they were kind of just a steady, you could always count on them, and the rate was the rate. But they do move, and they do move with the market. So usually when you see, a decent swing, you'll see a swing in non-QM. So, if Fannie Freddie moves an eighth, you're not going to see a non-QM move. But if it moves, a half, something like that, you're definitely going to see some improvement. So yeah, the rates do fluctuate a lot more than they have in the past.
So you have seen a difference in the last month
Yeah.
then? Wonderful. That's good. That's really good.
And we're trying, as much as possible, we're trying to push out the most aggressive rates, that we can. So, we've made a choice as a company to cut our profit margin to help, right, kind of absorb some of the rate shock that is out there and some of the fear of, these rates. So, we're doing everything we can. And as you're saying, as far as, educating people and getting out there, I mean, ARC is absolutely fully vested in making, sure that the non-QM, like you said, is here, that people are knowledgeable, whether it be from loan officers to realtors. We'll come in your office, we'll buy your whole team lunch, and we'll go through everything you ever wanted to know. If you're not comfortable with public speaking, we will go with you. We will do the speaking with your brand on it. We will do Zoom for you. Whatever you would like. We'll customize presentations for you. We'll customize marketing, materials for you. We are 100% on your side here to help you grow your business in the non-QM space.
Well, and I'm just going to say that for LOs who are thinking of doing presentations in offices, something that Kevin and I both do when we're teaching is we'll bring someone in for, like, if we have a chapter on non-QM, we'll bring in a non-QM lender, because sometimes the conversation back and forth is better from a presentation perspective for the listeners than just you standing up front, droning on and on. Not that people drone on and on, but if they drone on and on. So anyway, so it's a great suggestion. It's a great offer. So people, take him up on it. Call George and have him go with you. And then you're going to feel very confident because you will know that you'll have the answer sitting right there. So it is, it's a great opportunity for everyone to get out in front of people again. Again, we joke around about this all the time. You have to get up, you have to take a shower, you have to put on clothes that don't stretch, and you have to, be presentable and be around humans. We all need to be doing that. And why wait? Why are you waiting? There's no reason. So put this into your business plan for next year and get yourself out there, because there are loans closing. There were $2.26 trillion dollars in origination in 2022. That's a big number. That's not like there isn't any business. There's business. You have to find it. And I'm talking to lenders and they're busy and they're not worried about, you can't be worried about the rates. You got to get over it. We all have to get over it. And once we do, and while we're getting over it, we help everyone else get over it. And then we'll be able to move forward. So come on, do your part, get over it, people. So
now, how do people get a hold of you guys?
So that, we have our website. They can, we can call us, email us, text us.
What's the website again?
So it's archomeloans.com. It's www, right? Hold on a second. It's a little confusing, but we can put it up on the YouTube channel, right? We'll give all the information with our.
Yeah, definitely. So just make sure, like, if you've missed this, if you want to see it again, it will be posted on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is doing great, by the way. Like, so our last week's Down and Dirty, they've gotten a lot of hits already. So that is magic. You can go back and refer to it. So with that, we are at 30 minutes. Is there anything you'd like me to add before we call it a day?
Yeah, I know we added on the link too so on the website, on the Mortgage Pros 411 website, the recording will be there, and then also our lunch and learn link. So if you want somebody to come into your office and we'll buy lunch and do a presentation for you and your team, that link to request that time slot will be there. We do have people nationally available. So just because George happens to be in California, if you're somewhere else in the country, we can get you the right representative to come into your office and speak. And again, we can also set up Zoom or Teams meetings or anything virtual for you as well.
Awesome.
That sounds great. There are resources, guys. Use them. Make sure you call George. Make sure you call your
Louise.
reps and get this into your business plan for next year. So we have thank yous in the chat for you guys. Thank you. Great presentation. We appreciate you so much. And we will see you on Tuesday with Michael Ramin with Share Estate. So Tuesday, Mortgage Pros 411. And then we take a week break, Kevin. Can you believe it? We get 1 week off a year.
A year.
And it's the week
Happy
between
holidays.
Christmas and New Year. So we'll see you next Tuesday at 11 a.m. Thank you so much, you guys. This is really fun, and we will see you soon.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.